Hey everybody, I'm David Ellison, and thanks for stopping by and checking out the new Peavey bass amps. We've got some very cool stuff going on this year. Peavey has always traditionally been known as a solid-state bass amplifier manufacturer, and this year everybody really went the limit and came up with what we call the VB2, which is the new tube bass amp from Peavey. Very cool stuff. Obviously has the look of a solid tank, indestructible tube amp, which is important when you're out traveling and touring around. Let's go through some of the features of it, because I'd like to show you some stuff. Everybody's really risen to the occasion on this one to come up with something very cool, especially since it's really one of the first tube offerings in a bass amp from Peavey. As you go across the front, there's both a high and a low input, which is designed for both active and passive instruments. There's the mute, tuning mute, as well as the bright and a channel divider switch here to go back and forth between the channels. Now let me explain a little something about the channels. As you go across, traditional tube amps, what we like about them, of course, is that they've got this nice, warm, full tone to them, which this has. But when you engage the overdrive channel, you get the good, gnarly, ratty tube sound, which is what a lot of people want from a tube amp. So by having the switch to go back and forth between both of them, you can incorporate both tones into your sound. As we go across, we've got both, of course, the volume for both the clean and the overdrive channel. Real simple tone center with a low, mid, and a high, and of course the shift here to be able to determine at which point you want to engage the mid-range section of the tone part of the amp. There's an effects loop here. We've got, of course, the master volume. And something that we put into the amp here is, on a lot of guitar tube amps, is what's called a presence, which adds a nice, adds a nice high-frequency feature to it. But we also added the resonance tone control on there, which what that does, it's similar to on the back of a guitar amp where they have a damping switch where you can kind of select how tight or how loose you want the tone of the amp to be. And of course, going across, there's the power section, which the on-off switch, and the standby. All right, now let's take a look at the back of the VB2. Because this is an all-tube bass amp, there are 13 12AX7 preamp tubes, and there's 6 EL34 power tubes. And as we go across the back here, we see that there's a remote switch, which is also engaged in with the tuner, so that you can have silent tuning. And the remote switch also works so that you can switch back and forth between the clean and the crunch channels. There's a DI out to interface in with the PA. Of course, there's also a DI level, which is nice, so you can give the sound man however much that you want to send to him out front of house. There's a ground lift, which is also part of that. And then there's also a pre-EQ and post-EQ, so you can determine what signal you want to be sending to the front of house. There's an impedance selector switch here for 2, 4, and 8 ohms. And then just 2 1/4-inch outs to interface in with your speaker cabinet. So it's real simple. The VB2, awesome sounding amp, a lot of bang for the buck, 225-watt tube amp from Peavey. Thanks for checking it out.